The Giants and Jets had a dual practice in Florham Park, New Jersey at Jets camp today. What did we see? What did we like? And what didn't we like? Find out next on the Big Blue Breakdown Live. Hi again, everybody. Paul Dottino back with you on Big Blue Breakdown Live as we go into Wednesday evening after the Giants and Jets had their joint practice session today. Of course, they'll be playing on Saturday in the final exhibition game of this preseason. Now, you know, it's interesting. A lot of people want to know right away, of course, who's going to play in the game. I didn't get the impression from either head coach, Robert Saleh of the Jets, or Brian Daboll for that matter, that they're going to let anybody know. Simply put, they're probably going to keep that close to the vest and to themselves, probably all the way up until kickoff. But what I will tell you is this. I would be surprised if the starters played more than a series or two at most. I think if the Giants decide not to play what they believe is their starting 5 offensive linemen, they will not play Daniel Jones in the game. If they decide that they're going to go with their starting 5 offensive line, which played in Houston the other day, then I believe you will see Daniel Jones for at least a series, potentially. Aaron Rodgers, well, look, he played games all week about whether he would even practice against the Giants or not. But you know what? He did practice today, and he was very, very good. It didn't look like he was rusty at all. In fact, he was in midseason form. He was surgical and threw a variety of short, medium range, and long range passes throughout the day and was very successful in doing so. It was a rough day for the Giants secondary. There's no other way to slice that. But before we get into some more of that stuff, just to give you an idea of what the schedule looks like over the next few days. So today, we've got the Giants and Jets in a practice. Tomorrow, they'll practice on their own. Friday, both teams will be off with a walkthrough, and then they'll play each other on Saturday at MetLife Stadium. It is a Jets home game, as you guys know. Now, following that, on Tuesday, by 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, every team's got to get down from 90 to 53 players. Now, the change in this year's rules means you can take 2 players, if you like, and put them on retrievable injured reserve, which means that you can put them on IR, but instead of losing them for the season, if you put them on reserve injured reserve, you'll be able to bring those 2 guys back after 4 weeks. They won't be lost for the season. That's important to keep in mind for some of the injured players. For example, the Giants have an injured player in Cordell Flott. They were hoping he would be the starting left corner on this team this year, but he's nursing a quad injury and is now going on 2 weeks that he's been unavailable. That's not good, but you certainly don't want to lose him for the season. You might be able to steal a roster spot by putting Flott on the retrievable injured reserve list, and if you think he's going to be out for a month, that would be a good place to put him. But we'll see. That's all speculation right now. But what I can tell you is this. You got to get down to 53 by 4 o'clock New York time, okay, on Tuesday. The next day, you now can make your waiver claims and you can sign your practice squad players. 16 players can go to the practice squad, including a handful of veterans. The 17th player is the NFL's international player, should your team decide to make use of it. The Giants have 1 international player, and that's the Irish kicker from Rutgers, McAtamney. I do expect he will get the international slot. It doesn't cost them anything other than practice squad funds to pay his salary. It would be pointless for them to cut him. So he'll be the 17th player on the practice squad and take that international slot. I fully expect that to happen. So that's what's coming up. And then, of course, on September 8th, the Giants will host the Minnesota Vikings. One other item, and again, I'm just trying to get this stuff out of the way so that you people have a full context of what we're going to be talking about with today's practices. The other item is coming up a couple of days before that opening day against the Vikings is the Giants Fan Fest. And folks, if you've been following the Giants all-time top 100 players list that's been coming out, well, there are literally a few dozen of those players who are going to be at the Giants Fan Fest, and that looks like that's going to be a pretty wild event with panel discussions, introductions of the living Giants 100 who's going to be there. There'll be autographs, there'll be pictures, there'll be a fireworks show, there'll be a drone show. Looks like a pretty fun night, and that's coming up just a couple of nights before opening day against the Minnesota Vikings. Giants.com has all that information, including how you can get your free tickets. So I bring that to your attention just because that's what we're looking at over the next couple of weeks. All right. In terms of today's practice, and I'll start getting to a couple of those in a second, I just want to say hi to Matt Sullivan and John Morano and Watson Graves and Jordan Zamiti. All you guys, I see your comments already coming in on the chat. I will get to you guys in just a tad. I do want to give a little bit more of an overview as to what happened today down at Florham Park. And by the way, how about this great weather? Are you kidding me? Like outdoor air conditioning these last 2 days. Temperatures in the mid-70s with a nice cool breeze. There was some rain down at Florham Park today. I don't know how many of you had rain, but for a short time we had this gigantic dark cloud came hovering over the practice field at Florham Park. Looked like a scene out of Ghostbusters. And rain came down. It was light at first, then it got a little heavier and a little steady, and after about 10 or 15 minutes it stopped. So for those of you who were there, you guys, you fans, you were underneath the awnings over at the Jets practice facility, so that's cool. I get that. You didn't get wet. I got wet because I was out on the sideline watching practice. But we did see some rain today. I see Jeff Smith is also chiming in the chat. I'll get to you in a bit as well, Jeff. Thank you for joining the program tonight. So here's what we saw today. Jets offense against Giants defense. We can talk specifics if you want to. In general, Aaron Rodgers was on fire. He was in complete command, in complete control, aggressive, assertive, and did a marvelous job of finding his receivers throughout the entire course of the afternoon and gave the Giants' young secondary a tremendous amount of problems today. All right. I think the Giants' secondary probably scuffled worse today than any other day I've seen during training camp. It was a rough one, folks, and that's just the way it is. Those are the facts. In terms of the rush defense, hard to tell because this was a thud practice where guys would go up and bang up against each other and then wrap up and hold each other up. Nobody was to hit the ground. Nobody was supposed to be tackled. So it's really hard because a number of times the Jets running back would come through the line. There'd be traffic. He'd get bounced around like a pinball, and then all of a sudden he'd come out and shoot for 10 yards. Well, to be frank, that can be very deceiving. And for fans who were there today, they probably thought, well, maybe the Jets running game is really getting a lot of traction. I didn't see it that way. I think that most of those runs would have been stopped had they been in full tackle mode. I can also tell you that the Giants' defensive front did a solid job of getting pressure in the 11-on-11 team drills. All right, that's one part. On the other field, we saw the Giants' offense against the Jets' defense. Now, Brian Daboll is very careful in describing what it is, that he wants with the opposing coach when they go over these joint practice sessions. And there were a couple of things very apparent to me. If you were there and you watched, I hope you were paying careful attention, because it's very important. I know what's going to be in the papers tomorrow. I know what the writers are going to write. Hopefully they paid attention and they know what they saw, and they'll be able to give you a fair and accurate description and an overall picture in context of what happened. Because what we saw today from the Giants offense is that they went with a whole bunch of short passes, passes to the flat, screen passes, flares, sit-down routes, checkdowns, and a whole lot of running plays. In other words, it was almost the antithesis of what the Jets offense was running today, when they consistently asked, whether it was Aaron Rodgers, Tyrod Taylor, or even the other Jets quarterbacks, they consistently asked them to throw the ball 20-plus yards downfield. They were clearly looking for big and explosive plays, and that was much to the delight of their fans. And why wouldn't it be? They completed a bunch of them. The Giants, on the other hand, had a completely reversed playbook. So I think it's important to understand that clearly they went into this joint practice with a different philosophy in mind for their offense. Having said that, Daniel Jones operated very efficiently within the scope of what he was asked to do. He ran the ball well when he had a scramble. He was connecting on his short passes without much difficulty at all, which of course he shouldn't have much difficulty, right? We all know that. The short passing game, you should have a very high percentage. Well, Daniel Jones did. So I would say Daniel Jones had a very solid day today. But for those of you who wanted big explosive plays and long touchdowns, well, you're going to be disappointed, because that's not what they called. That was not what the Giants' offensive scheme was meant to do today. I don't know why, but it's clear. That was the mission today. They were going to run short stuff and running plays. So there's really not much to say in terms of highlights for the Giants' offense. Now, what can we tell you about the Giants' offense? Well, let's start with the good outside of Daniel Jones. Running backs ran the ball pretty well, and the offensive line did a good job in pass protection and seemingly did a good job blocking for the run. But again, it's hard to tell, because in these stud practices, there's no tackling. So when guys break through, how big a deal is that? Hard to say. All right. What else did we see? Well, there were a couple of longer downfield shots that Daniel Jones did take, and unfortunately they were not connections. Theo Johnson, the rookie tight end out of Penn State, who has been terrific, dropped one. And that was a shame, because that would have been a highlight play for the Giants offense. An explosive play, as people like to call it. Daniel Jones also threw one long down the left sideline on a go route to Malik Neighbors, guarded by DJ Reed. Neighbors went up for the ball, twisted, turned, and after practice admitted that he took his eye off the ball for just a minute. And you know what? It hit him right in the chest. He bobbled it, and it fell to the ground incomplete. So there were two chances the Giants had at making explosive plays today where they really tried to do it, and neither time did the target hold on to the ball. Now, why do I say it that way regarding Neighbors? Well, simply because Neighbors himself said he should have made the play. Now, this rookie has a tremendous amount of pride and believes any time that he gets his hands on the ball, he's responsible to make it. Now, the bar is high for him. He expects to make spectacular catches look routine. That's why he was upset at himself for missing that ball today. I mean, it was a pretty darn good throw. Now, again, he did twist and jump for it, and it would have been a real ooh-ah kind of catch, had he come down with it and held it, through the completion of the play. You guys know the rule, right, for making a catch? Got to hold it through the completion of the play. Well, he didn't. So it was incomplete. And he was very upset with himself for that. So that's certainly an interesting take. As far as Daniel Jones goes, talked to him and Neighbors both after practice. And Neighbors said what he said. Neighbors did say he thinks he'd like to get more reps against the Jets on Saturday. Doesn't know what Dable's going to do. But he thinks every rep is a valuable rep, especially as a rookie. I like his work ethic. I like his desire. And I think he's got a good mentality there. Daniel Jones said he felt the offense performed efficiently. Well, he's right. Based on what they asked him to do, they performed efficiently. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't spectacular. But it was pretty efficient. The one drive that I know that they had to be unhappy with, though, was a 2-minute drive. Jones was given the ball and told, okay, you got to go down in a 2-minute drill, take the ball downfield, let's see what you can do with it. And he hit Neighbors on a left out route first, on first down, and then you had the drop by Neighbors on the go route that I just explained to you. Then you had Darius Slayton make a really nice catch on the left sideline, out of bounds. Couldn't get both feet down. And then on the next play was another passing play, and he went to Slayton again, and this time the ball was knocked away by DJ Reed, who made a really nice pass breakup. And that was the end of the series. And then the first unit offense came off the field on that 2-minute drill. It was a hurry-up drill. So he had the one completion and then 3 consecutive incompletes for different reasons. That is certainly a series that the Giants would love to have had back today. Offensively, I think if you want to complain and say, okay, this wasn't a great day, that would be the series that I would point to. That said, you know what, that would have been a really nice drive. If they could have come up with something there, that would have been kind of sweet. And that would have been a highlight, if you will. But other than that, it was a very ultra-conservative approach. So I give you that. All right, so that's pretty much what happened during 11-on-11s. The other thing to keep in mind, and again, I don't know how much you're going to read about this, but the trenches drills, where the offensive line goes against the defensive line, and vice versa. Those drills were held along the farthest part of the field, opposite the end zone where the writers were, and where most of the media was. Now, as you folks know, I'm part of the New York Giants broadcast team. So I do get better access to the field and to practice than regular media people do. So I was down there in the corner of the end zone to watch those drills specifically, because those are always, the GM and the head coach will always watch those drills. They are some of the most important reps that you will see in a practice, especially a joint practice. Well, the Giants won both of those drills. Their offensive line against the Jets' defensive line, and the Giants' defensive line against the Jets' offensive line. That is very, very important. You folks know it's always about the trenches in Football 101. So I give you that as something to chew on. If the Giants coaching staff is up right now tonight watching the films of today's joint practice, those particular films about the trenches is what's going to make them smile, particularly. Brian Burns was an absolute monster today in the trenches drills. 2 consecutive snaps blew right through the the Jets tackle as if he was not even on the field. If this had been a game and the first-string starters would have been in the game, Aaron Rodgers would have been a pancake. And I don't know if he would have gotten up. That's the kind of explosion that Brian Burns exhibited during the trenches drills today. He was shot out of a cannon, and it was lightning quick. Basically, the way that I looked at the defensive line against the Jets offensive line, I had the Giants defensive line doubling up in victories. See, with each rep, I graded as which lineman won the rep, offensive or defensive, or was it a draw? Well, Giants defensive line against the Jets offensive line, the Giants doubled up in victories against the Jets offensive line. I think it's also kind of important to note a guy who's deep on the depth chart, and I do bring this to your attention. Benton Whitley had really good trenches drills today off of the edge. And Whitley, as you may remember from the 2 preseason games you saw, he's made a few plays. So it ought to be interesting to see how he does on Saturday in the game. As you know, the Giants are hurting at middle linebacker. They got a number of guys out. Not so much on the edges, but still, it's going to be very interesting to see. So Whitley had a really good day in the trenches drills. Thibodeau was pretty good. Burns was fantastic. DJ Davidson, I thought, was pretty good. He had a win and a couple of draws in the trenches drill. So I thought that was pretty good. And then on the Giants offensive line against the Giants defensive line, Van Roten, I'd say, came out okay. Thomas, of course, he's Andrew Thomas. He's how many bad reps has Andrew Thomas taken in the last month? Maybe one. He's just been incredible. Illuminor did well. Stinney did well. Evan Neal. Guys, let me take a time out here. Let me tell you about Evan Neal. He's been on the practice field now with the second team playing right tackle for the last couple of days. Folks, he's been holding up. And he held up today against the Jets. He held up. I would say the Giants should be encouraged by what they've seen since Evan Neal got back onto the practice field a couple of days ago. Whatever Carmen Brasillo is telling him to do, it appears as if it's having some effect. Doesn't mean that Neal is going to start at right tackle against the Vikings. Doesn't mean he would start week 2 against Washington. Heck, it doesn't mean anything right now, other than there may be some reason for hope because he's on the practice field, he's healthy, he's able to actually function and try to do things. And to this point, I'd say Carmen Brasillo has got to have a smile on his face. These first 2 practices from Evan Neal have definitely been something to shake your head in a positive way, not negatively, in a positive way. Like, look at that, yeah, look at Evan Neal. We will see. Baby steps. Okay, folks? He's been here. It's 3rd season. He's gone through a litany of injuries, some really drastic inconsistencies. So I'm really anxious to see Evan Neal play Saturday in the game against the Jets. I really am. I hope he gets a lot of reps because we need to see. We need to see if are these baby steps a mirage, or is he really starting to chew on something here? We will see. We will see. All right. Best throws. In the 7-on-7s, Tommy DeVito to Isaiah Hodgins. Yeah, I think that was probably that was one of the really good ones. Let me see here. I got something else that I wanted to mention. I believe there was one other throw. Let me see as I look at my other notes. Oh yeah, Miles Boykin. Miles Boykin also had a nice catch from Tommy DeVito in the 7-on-7s. But so that's it. I gave you some of that. I gave you the trenches drills. I could talk more specifically about 11-on-11s if you like, if you guys want to talk about that a little bit later on. But for the time being, I think we'll get to your comments and your questions because you got to get to it now. I got to get to it now because you guys are filling up my page over here. And I appreciate it, by the way. Thank you so much for chiming in. Oh, by the way, before I get back to the top and the folks who started with the comments earlier, Danny Pick 6 Duds says, look at this. Daniel Jones was a check down merchant again today, like always talk about that. Well, Danny, I'm sorry you joined the program late, but that was the game plan today. It was all about the run, and it was all about the short passes, the screens, the flats, the checkdowns, the dumps, the sit-downs. That was the game plan today. So you can only do what the coach tells you to do. And the Jets clearly went into today with a purpose to throw a bunch of deep balls. And they got their crowd all excited. Good. They executed them. The Giants went into today expecting to do a lot of running and to do a lot of short passing. So, Danny, there's your answer. I'm sorry to spoil your evening because I know you just clearly want to dump all over the quarterback, but you can't today because he followed instructions and was efficient in doing his job. He says here, why do the Giants beat writers refuse to acknowledge the elephant in the room? Well, there's no elephant in this room, no giraffe, no rhinoceros, no zebras either. Sorry, Danny. It is what it is. Maybe you're the one who refuses to acknowledge the reality of the situation. All right, we go to Matt Sullivan. How did Daniel Jones look against the Jets in practice today? Well, we kind of covered that in our overview. And yes, again, conservative game plan, but he was efficient in the scope of what he was asked to do. And now it just remains to be seen if he's going to play against the Jets on Saturday or not. Again, I don't think that's about Jones. I think he may play a little bit in the first quarter, a series or two, maybe, if Dable decides that he wants to put his projected starting 5 linemen out there. You can't put Daniel Jones out there behind a makeshift backup offensive line. That makes no sense at all, and you're playing with fire to get him hurt. It just that would not make any sense. That's pointless. So that's my take on the Daniel Jones situation. Thanks, Matt, for the question. Appreciate it. John Morano says, did Elijah Chapman earn a spot on the 53-man roster with his play against the Texans? And if so, what will his role be? It's funny. He comes out of SMU, and I got so much I could tell you about Chapman. I've said on the Big Blue Kickoff Live show, and I also said it on my Twitter page, at GiantsWFAN. He's the new modern version of John Mendenhall. Now, for those of you who may be a little too young, Mendenhall played in the decade of the 70s for the Giants. He was number 64 out of Grambling. Mendenhall was about 6 feet tall and 255 pounds at a time when linemen were about 280. So he was a good 25 to 30 pounds underweight. He was short and stocky like a fire hydrant. Well, that's how you would basically talk about Elijah Chapman. He is 5'11" and about 285 pounds, which means he's often given up at least 25 to 30 pounds to current offensive linemen in the league, if not more. Obviously, at 5'11", he's also short. What do Mendenhall and Chapman have in common? Well, they're both built like a fire hydrant. That's number one. And John, I know you've been around a while, so you know who John Mendenhall is. In fact, one year, John Mendenhall had 10 sacks. Okay? He was all NFC second team one year when he had 7 sacks. And then another year he had 10 sacks. But here's the deal. Okay? Mendenhall, by the way, played defensive tackle in a 4-man front and also played nose tackle in a 3-man front. Very versatile player. Terrific defensive lineman at a time when the Giants were really bad. I still don't understand why he never made a Pro Bowl, because he deserved one. All right, so back to the comparison. Both guys are like fire hydrants. Both guys are as strong as an ox. Both guys are masters at using leverage. Both guys have a motor that runs as hot as the Chicago Fire and play right through the end of the play. Both guys are really good at pursuing the run game up and down the line, sideline to sideline. And both guys look like, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself with Chapman here, but Chapman looks like he's got that ability to get low and penetrate into the backfield and provide a pass rush, which God knows Mendenhall could do. So the other day, a writer from AP who remembered Mendenhall, but he thought Mendenhall was also 94. And I immediately corrected him and said, oh, hold on. John Mendenhall was 64. I believe he's number 77 on the Giants all-time top 100, by the way. So if you don't know who John Mendenhall is, not only do I advise you to look at YouTube, to look at some of the footage and the films, but read up on him. I think he's 77 on the top 100. This dude was a player. All right, as tough as a junkyard dog. Anyway, so I immediately corrected the guy and said, no, Mendenhall was 64. And then I proceeded to tell Elijah Chapman all about what Mendenhall was. And I suggested to him that he ask the coaches and or the folks in the Giants video office pull out some John Mendenhall highlights. I said, Elijah, you're going to love watching him. Go get some of those Mendenhall highlights. Watch them. Because you could be a updated version of John Mendenhall. Get some of those highlights. Look at them. I bet you have a good time. And I said, that'd be a heck of a guy to model yourself after. Because John Mendenhall was a dynamite player. So, in answer to your question, John, last week, for those of you who may have missed it, and I can't believe you did because it's all over Twitter, there was a running play by one of the Texans' backs, and he cut it up the left sideline, and he broke free. And Chapman, from his left defensive end position, scooted all the way to the Giants' right sideline and chased that running back down. He ran 45 yards, was timed at 18 miles per hour, or clocked, I should say, at 18 miles per hour. Told us this week that at SMU, one time he ran 20 miles an hour. I remind you, the man is 5'11", 285 pounds. Wow. He tracked down this running back from behind. And now the back stepped out of bounds, so it was only a 16-yard gain. But Chapman didn't know it. So when asked about the play this week at practice, he said, here's what I knew. I knew that there was nobody in the secondary who could catch the guy. So I figured I had to be the one to do it, and that's why I chased him down. That's a very practical answer. He knew the secondary was close up. There was nobody deep. So there was no deep safety to chase after this guy. So Chapman said, I took it upon myself. I figured I had to do it. And he did it. 45 yards downfield. knocked the guy out of bounds along the sideline. John, in answer to your question, and here's the interesting part, and I'm going to tell you a quick story here. Part of the problem when a guy shows something like that in a preseason game, every other team in the league gets that tape. And every other team in the league saw the attention that that clip drew. So now every other team in the league is going to do extra homework on Elijah Chapman, wondering, ooh, if he gets cut, should we go after him? You see, when a guy, an undrafted rookie free agent, performs very, very well in practice, you really don't have to worry that much because practice tape doesn't get distributed around the league. Preseason games do. So here's the problem. Chapman did what he did in the game. He's now drawn attention to himself, and I'd say it's highly likely he'd get claimed if the Giants tried to sneak him through waivers and get him on the practice squad. I think they now have to keep him. If he had just done some really good things in practice, okay, so maybe the writer's right about it. But all 31 other teams are not seeing that. So it's a blessing and a curse when a, quote, sleeper has a big preseason game. Because now he puts a target on his back and he may not be able to stay if the team tries to sneak him onto the practice squad for further development. So in answer to your question, John, and I know I kind of went around the circle here a little bit and gave you a lot more than maybe you asked for, but that's what we try to do on this program. The answer is, I think he would get claimed if they tried to sneak him through. I think Elijah Chapman's going to have to be on the Giants 53. So, hopefully, they got another John Mendenhall. I don't know if they do. I don't want to heap that kind of praise on him yet. What I do want to say is, I see similar characteristics in an updated league, an updated version, if you will. I see how you could make that comparison, because that's the kind of player he needs to be if he's going to make it in this league. He told us that he had a tryout with the Seattle Seahawks before the Giants. He knew he was going to have a tryout with Seattle and the Giants, went to Seattle. Seattle saw him, basically told him he was too small and he didn't fit after he got there. I guess they wanted to see it for themselves. And then he hopped a plane to New York to come to Giants rookie camp. And lo and behold, the Giants looked at him and said, hey, we think you got something. Why don't you stay? We're going to sign you. And so they did. He himself, Chapman, said he's very fortunate to have landed here because Andre Patterson, the Giants defensive line coach, doesn't care about height. He cares about heart. He cares about a motor. He cares about strength. He cares about leverage. Boy, what a coincidence. These are all things that Elijah Chapman has. He says he feels very fortunate to be coached by Andre Patterson because Patterson understands how to develop him. I got to think he's on the 53, John. All right. Very much appreciate the comments. Watson Graves says, hi, Paul, go deep. Well, don't tell me that. Tell Coach Dable that. Because the Giants did not go deep today. Hey, I'm going to be back in just a second, okay? Because I got to get a quick spot in here. But I'll be back in just a second to go through more of your questions and comments right here on the Big Blue Breakdown live as part of the New York Giants on SI Media Network. How about that? I'm back already. I know you guys are used to this by now if you've been watching the program for the last month. You know that spot is really, really quick. But it's just something I have to get in. It's all part of the procedure here. All right. So, let's see. What do we have? Jordan Zemetti just says, hi, everyone. Jordan, great. Look at this. I'm going to put your name up there, Jordan. How about that? All right? Hi to you. I don't know if you made it to practice today, if you were down at Florham Park, but you could always say hi. Look, anytime you see me around the practice field or you see me outside the stadium when I'm coming in or leaving, don't be afraid to say hi. I'm a people person. It's what I do. But hi right now. All right, let's see here. What do we got? Watson Graves again chiming in saying, you're probably right, John. I'm sure he's talking about Chapman. I think he's got to be on the 53. All right, let's see here. What do we have? Jordan Zametti says, we got Jordan again. We got a lot of people like to post more and more comments, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. I'll try to get to all of them. If there's something there that's relevant, I will. And sometimes I'm just happy to say hi to you folks. Again, I'm a people person. That's why we're here. I mean, there's no reason to have reporters reporting on a team if the fans aren't interested and don't want to know. So I'm always glad to talk to you. All right, so Jordan Zametti says, glad the secondary is being exposed to this early. Gives them time to learn and prepare, hopefully get better. Well, Jordan, you're right. Brandon Brown, the Giants' assistant general manager, just told us yesterday when he was grilled about, well, you're going to get a veteran corner with some of the cap room that you created by reworking Andrew Thomas's contract. And basically what he said is this. They've got some young corners who they want to mature and they want them to develop, and they're giving them every chance to do so. The problem is Cordell Flott, who was in the lead to be the starting cornerback on the left side, has a quad injury. He's going on 2 weeks now. He's missed. That's a real fly in the ointment here, okay? That's like accidentally dumping an entire container of salt into your soup. You know, the salt shaker's got the little holes in it, and you want to put a little salt in your soup, and then boom, the top falls off, and all that salt comes pouring out. That's what happened. All the salt came pouring out because Cordell Flott right now has got this quad thing. And the Giants really wanted him to step forward and win that job. But he really hasn't been allowed to do it because of the injury. And they really like Nick McLeod in a Swiss Army knife role so that they can plug him in anywhere without having to adjust the lineup. And Nick McLeod is also really their best gunner and special teams player. So I don't think they want McLeod to start because they think it'll take away other maneuverabilities as well as his potential impact on specials. So I think that's where they stand. But right now, McLeod is their best left corner as it stands tonight. So we're going to see. Now, back to what Brandon Brown said. They want, in the worst way, somebody there to step up and take the job. At the same time, there's no question that their eyes and ears are open for the potential of a veteran corner who could help that they would be interested in. To this point, there's been no conversations with anybody that I know of. It may actually come down to the waiver wire. You know, maybe there's a late trade. Remember last year when the Giants traded the 7th-round pick to the Cardinals for Isaiah Simmons? They knew the Cardinals were going to get rid of him. So pick up the phone. Hey, want a 7th-round pick? We want this guy. Boom, trade. Just like that. Maybe they see a corner that they think somebody's going to get rid of. A guy who is either an aged veteran who may be, kind of running out of some gas, but they think he can help. Maybe they offer a 7th-round pick for somebody like that. Or maybe there's a young player who can't seem to crack somebody's depth chart, but they really like them coming out of school. Maybe they offer a 7th-round pick for somebody like that. Or maybe they just wait. They don't make a deal at all, and they wait for waivers to come out. And then all of a sudden, next Wednesday, we find out that they picked up somebody off of waivers. We talk about stopgap guys who kind of helped out the secondary over the last 7 or 8 years. You go back to 2016. They picked up Sensabaugh. They picked up Leon Hall. That was back in 16. And, Leon Hall played for 2/3 of the season until he got hurt. But he gave the Giants plenty of productive snaps during the first part of that season. And, They picked him up off the trash heap right before the season. You look at Fabian Moreau, who 2 years ago was given up for nothing. I mean, he's on the recycle bin, and the Giants bring him in. They put him on the practice squad. All of a sudden, there's an injury. Now he gets elevated, plays the whole season, and he starts the whole season at corner for a playoff team. Fabian Moreau, how about that? So maybe the Giants get lucky and they grab somebody like that. I don't know what Adoree Jackson's doing these days. I haven't seen his name anywhere. Remember last year they had to put him in the slot out of necessity. It didn't work out very well. He was the most inconsistent he had been since he came to the Giants. He also had to suffer a concussion. That was a problem too, obviously, he couldn't play for a couple of weeks because he had that. I don't know exactly where that stands. I haven't seen Adoree Jackson take any visits with anybody. I haven't seen his name connected to anybody. So he's only 28 years old. I honestly don't know, but it's pretty conspicuous that his name is nowhere to be found anywhere. A guy who's got some pelts on his belt in this league. So I don't have an answer for you on Adoree Jackson. I've kind of thought, and I've been talking about this before free agency started, Ahkello Witherspoon from the Rams. He's a 6'2" corner, and he's been very productive. Has had an awful lot of interceptions over the years. He was relatively inexpensive. He's been in the league a number of years. Been inconsistent in his career. Some years better than other years. I don't know why he's unsigned, but he's out there, reasonably priced. I've been talking about him since March, and I don't see his name connected to anybody either. So let's see. All right. Anyway, Jordan, that's my answer for you there. All right, let's come back off of that one. Oh, got a bunch of people saying hello to each other, and that's cool. That's always cool. Let's see. Jordan talks about the Theo Johnson play. Yeah, that would have been a really great play, Jordan, but didn't hold it. Theo Johnson has had a really terrific camp, and I know he started a week late because he was hurt, he was dinged up, but he's had a really good camp. The sky's the limit for this player, but let's put the brakes on just a little bit. Don't expect too much too soon, okay? This is a good comment, though, Jordan. It's great to see neighbors strive for major quality. I love that out of a rookie. Shows how serious he is. Well, there's no question. This kid has a lot of pride. A lot of pride. And that's really good. You know why? Because when a guy shows that type of initiative and that type of attitude, it means he's going to want to learn. Guys who think that they're all that, the diva receivers in this league, even rookies who come in as divas, they're not so quick to improve because they think they got it already. They're not looking to learn. Neighbors has shown a very strong willingness to learn. And you know who has really even more than that? Jalen Hyatt. Hyatt has been an absolute workaholic since last year when he got here and tripled his workload during the offseason. I'm expecting really big things. I told people when Hyatt came out of Tennessee that he was a slot receiver, okay, and didn't have the full route tree. And he was also very, very thin, pencil thin, like a pretzel almost. Well, he gained 10 pounds when he came into the Giants last year. Then he gained 10 more pounds of muscle and strength and hasn't hurt his speed. And I've seen him work this entire offseason as hard as he possibly can. And he's often on his own, working with the other receivers, the veterans like Slayton or Allen Robinson on his routes. I think, I've said this on BBKL, I've taken the ceiling off of Jalen Hyatt. At one point, I thought, you know what? Maybe he could be a really good number two. He could be a little better than that. I'm taking the ceiling off of him because I see how hard he works. I see his speed is still there. I see somebody who is just continually improving all the time. He could be a 1A. Maybe he's not a 2. Maybe Jalen Hyatt's a 1A. Maybe. I don't know that. The point is, I don't want to cap him like I did when he first came out of school and they drafted him in the 3rd round. I'm thinking he's going to be better than I thought, because Jalen Hyatt, to me, now has the speed and the physicality to get rough and tough with corners who want to beat him up on the boundary. He can fight those guys for a ball. He can now get off a jam and has the physicality to do it and compete for a catch. I wasn't sure he was going to be able to do that when he came out of Tennessee. I'm pretty sure he can do that now. And that is such a huge plus for him and for the Giants. All right. Oh, Watson. Watson Graves says, Neighbors is a dog. You took the words right out of Brian Dable's mouth. Said it at the Combine, and he's been saying it ever since. No doubt. All right, let's see here. Jordan continues to chime in. I really hope that Evan Neal can take that jump this year for his sake, and that's great to hear. Weekly progress is all I'm looking for out of him for now. Jordan, that's exactly what the coaching staff is saying. Get him on the field, get him healthy, keep him out of the tub, keep him out of the trainer's room, because this guy is a first-round pick, a top 10 first-round pick, who is a big chunk of clay. He needs to be molded, he needs to be coached, and he needs to improve his technique on the field. You can't do that if you're caught in a trainer's room. And I think that's what people keep forgetting about Evan Neal. Yes, he's been incredibly inconsistent, and the bad plays have been really bad, and they've been far too often. The problem is, how would you feel out there if you didn't get to practice your craft, if you didn't get the necessary reps, if you didn't get enough time to put into practice the tutelage that you've been given to do your job? How would you feel? You would probably feel like, man, I'm being dealt an unfair deck of cards. Well, to be frank with you, while Evan Neal has been inconsistent and not performed well, he's also been dealt a short deck of cards. Maybe they can finally get him a full deck of 52 now that he's healthy and he's on the practice field. Now let's see what Carmen Bricillo can do with him. Give Bricillo a chance to work with this kid. Let's see, because the upside and the reward, if he can get the best out of Evan Neal, is huge for the Giants. Don't be foolish. Don't be short-sighted. Don't just push this guy aside without giving Bricillo a chance to work with him. That's just common sense, folks. All right. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Oh! I guess I got through to Danny. Danny says, cool, looking forward to seeing what he does tomorrow. There you go, Danny. That's why I'm here. I'm here to explain to you what you guys can't see and what other people don't see or don't want to write about. Let's see how practice goes tomorrow. And if Daniel Jones and the first team offense plays on Saturday, let's see how that goes. All right, good. See, you're being fair. You're giving the guy a chance now. All right. Let's see. Jordan, makes some sense to got the game plan from many different aspects. Can't just do deep ball practice every day. Well, Jordan, I'll go back to something that we talked about earlier during training camp. The Giants were throwing a lot more deep balls. Okay? They were. Today, they decided to pull in the reins. Dable doesn't share with us why. He doesn't share with us his play sheet or what he's trying to accomplish. But it's clear that was the plan today. I don't remember an 11-on-11 team drills today when the Giants' first-team offense went against the Jets' first-team defense. I don't remember one time that they targeted Sauce Gardner. Now remember, Sauce plays left corner for the Jets. He does not travel side to side. He stays on one corner because they really like DJ Reed on the other corner and they feel they don't have to travel Sauce. Sauce was very vocal today, yapping it up. I think he wanted the Giants to challenge him. For whatever reason, they didn't. I don't know why. And if they did throw a pass his way, I don't remember seeing it. It was hard to keep an eye on both fields at once, but I got all my notes here, and I think I did a pretty good job doing it. Let me see here. There you go. There. I don't know. The pad's not really coming through. The invisible pad, right? There we go. I don't remember, and I asked a couple other people after practice, do you remember? Because I don't. And they said, no, we don't think the Giants targeted Gardner once. So he got frustrated, and he kept mouthing off because I think he wanted a challenge. I think he wanted to thrill the Jets fans in attendance like Rodgers had done. Rodgers was throwing BBs. He was great today. And I think Sauce wanted some of that applause too. But he didn't get it. All right, let's see here. Jeff Smith says, Paul, did any of the backups make any real nice plays today? Oh, let's see. I'm going to go through my notes here just a quick second. And 11 on 11s. I did see, let's see here. I did see a really nice pass defense over the middle by Nick McLeod. It was a pass intended for Garrett Wilson on a slant from the left side from Aaron Rodgers. Fired it over the middle. Schmelk said to me he thought that the ball was bobbled and he didn't want to give McLeod credit for the pass defense. But I explained to him that here's the thing. Receiver bobbles the ball. He can now second clutch it, catch it, and has a reception. McLeod didn't allow that to happen. Now, whether or not he got his fingertip on the ball initially, I couldn't really tell because I was behind the play. What I can tell you is that the moment that Wilson bobbled the ball, McLeod knocked it away to make sure he could not handle it on the second clutch, so it fell incomplete. Excuse me a second. Yes, that was a sneeze. So, yeah, that was probably, and I don't know, do you consider McLeod a backup? It looks like right now he may be the starting left corner. But that would have been the best play that I saw, from somebody who's not like a frontline starter, because McLeod at the moment, he may be, but he may not be. Again, it was a very nondescript day, for the most part. So that's my answer for that one, Jeff. Jordan Zimetti. Jordan Zimetti. He's probably a Paisan. Jordan, if you are, I apologize for getting that wrong. For what it's worth, I had pasta tonight. Good sauce, good cheese. Enjoyed it very much when I got back from practice. So I probably should not be screwing up your name. Jordan says, I hope the starters play. I think the more real snaps for the first team, the better. Don't want a repeat of last year. Jordan, if you know anything about me, I have been saying for the longest time that starters need to play more during the preseason. I specifically mean offensive line and secondary, especially if they've been revamped. I think it's critical. Now, I will say, in Daniel Jones's case, if they're not going to put the potential starting 5 offensive linemen in front of him to start the game, he should not play. I do not think it's wise to take a chance against the Jets front, no matter who it is, whether or not their starters or second team is in. I don't think it's wise to put Daniel Jones in that position where you have backup linemen who could get him hit. So there are always exceptions to the rule. For the most part, I think starters need to play more in the preseason than they do. Heck, I go back to the days when Phil Simms played into the fourth quarter of preseason games on occasion. Fran Tarkenton played into the fourth quarter, of preseason games quite often. I'm sorry. I think the only way to get ready for the season, and Howard Cross, by the way, one of my broadcast partners on the Giants broadcast team, agrees wholeheartedly. He even thinks the starters should play more than I do. So we are not alone on this one, Jordan. But I understand there's a risk. The salary cap is a crippling factor. And if you get a starter, specifically a really good starter, injured, well, not only does it hurt your team because now you have to replace him in the lineup, but that salary cap money is tied up. And if he was a costly contract to begin with, well, now that money is basically sitting on the trainer's table, and you don't have an awful lot of money to work with to go get a competent replacement. Injuries are such a double zap whammy these days because of the salary cap restrictions. It's brutal. It's brutal. What I wouldn't do to go back to the days of Plan B free agency back before 1993, when you didn't have salary cap, Plan B free agency prevented a lot of movement and stuff, and you had your dozen or so unprotected players that could get scapped up, but it allowed for better team building and allowed for the fabric of a team to mesh together, and you could really go places. But that was ruled against the antitrust laws, and the league had to do away with it, and they came up with the new free agency system and a salary cap, and this is the world we live in. It is what it is. All right, Jordan. Let's see what else here. I heard DeVito had a really nice throw today. Well, he had a couple of nice throws, but again, 7-on-7. He hit Boykin, he hit Hodgins. Let me see. Was there anything that was even of medium range that I jotted down here? Giants offense, DeVito. I'm looking. Okay, he hit Bellinger on for a touchdown on a post. Wasn't a spectacular play, but yeah, I mean maybe that's the one that somebody may have referred to. Let me see what else. Nothing else really catches my fancy. He overthrew on the last snap of his practice. He overthrew Bryce Ford Wheaton in center field, and the ball was intercepted by Trey Swilling, cornerback for the Jets. That was the only Giants giveaway of the day in the 11-on-11 drills. So that gives you the rundown on Tommy DeVito, who once again I will tell you, I believe the Giants will keep 3 quarterbacks on the 53. Tommy DeVito's not going to get through waivers. If they try to sneak him through the practice squad, he'll get taken. I feel pretty confident about that. All right. Let's see here. All right, Danny. Danny wants to come back and says, all right, see, now we're having good conversation, Danny. I appreciate it. See, I hated to attack you earlier in the show. I really did. I had a little fun with it, and I try to have fun. All right? I tend to be a character, all right? I'm a paisan, so I tend to be a character. I like to have fun. And so I appreciate the fact that you were not insulted by anything that I said, and we can continue to talk. So your comment now, Danny, right now, Danny, Pick 6 Duds, you think Giants will sign Adoree Jackson. We talked about him before. He's still available, and I believe he has played in Bowen's system in Tennessee, if not mistaken. Yeah, well, that's the other part that we don't know. The Giants, Bowen himself is not talking about Adoree Jackson. He's not on the team. So they're not going to talk about free agents. Coaches will not do that. So we don't know if Adoree Jackson and Shane Bowen really got along great in Tennessee or not. We don't know. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. There could be a whole host of reasons why Adoree Jackson is not here. So we did address that a little bit earlier in the show, though. But I appreciate the thought and the comment. All right. Let's see. Danny actually had a follow-up. Question is, do the Giants brass think they will be good this year? No point in signing Jackson if they are bad. Well, let me put it to you this way. Brian Daboll, Joe Shane, and Brendan Brown, the assistant GM, have all said repeatedly they are on the prowl and they will not hesitate. In fact, Brandon Brown said the word aggressive. They are going to be aggressive in trying to obtain any player that's an upgrade. So I think that's the best answer I can give you. Jeff Smith, number 64. That's my man, John Mendenhall. That is right, Jeff. John Mendenhall. Enjoyed. You know, I met John Mendenhall at a department store at an autograph signing one time. And you know the funniest part about it? He was a junkyard dog as a player, but couldn't have been nicer at the department store autograph signing. And in fact, I even got a picture with him. How about that? No, I'm not showing it to you. Many, many, many years ago, obviously. In fact, holy smokes, it's got to be about 50 years ago. Whew. That's a long time. Anyway. All right. A-Train. Love the content, Paul. Honest question. You've been around the team a long time. 42 years to be exact. 42. Okay. There you got the fingers in there. 42. Why are other players, media, and some Giant fan base getting on DJ? I feel today's Sauce interview was not necessary. I'll be frank with you. After practice, I chatted with Jones and Neighbors in the media session, and then I quickly had to go to the Big Blue Kickoff Live temporary set that John and I had set up, and we proceeded to take 1 hour of phone calls on Giants.com about the practice session. I did not have an opportunity after practice today to listen to any of the Jets players. Other than for a couple of moments, I did have a chance to hear Tyron Smith, the former Dallas Cowboy, who's now the Jets starting left tackle. Very pleasant fellow, by the way. Really well-spoken, nice guy. Hulking size of a man. Huge man. Like an apartment building. Big guy. Now I understand, seeing him up close in person without the pads on. The pads and everything else don't do him justice. This man is a physical specimen. Anyway, so I don't know. If Sauce said something today afterwards, I don't know what it was. I apologize to you. It was a late return from practice. 287 and Route 46. Getting back to the Giants facility was jammed with traffic, as you can imagine, after we did the show. So I got back home, had my plate of pasta, enjoyed it very much, thank you, and then prepared to come down here and get ready for the program. So I'm sorry, A-Train, I really don't have anything else on that. You came up with a follow-up. I know he's had his struggles, but do you got folks here disrespecting a guy who works his tail off to be ready for the season? He has my respect. If he's here next, okay. If not, okay, but show respect. Well, yeah. I mean, one of the, WFAN's morning show was out at the Giants camp yesterday. And Boomer and Gio had a discussion. They had Daniel Jones on the show. And one of the things that they said was, look, Daniel Jones was on the hot seat 2 years ago. And what did he do? He got the Giants to the playoffs. He survived the hot seat of New York. and parlayed it into a new contract. Daniel Jones is on the hot seat again. He already survived it once. If history is going to tell us anything, it's that Daniel Jones is going to be ready. And he's going to do the job, and he's going to meet the challenge, and he's going to survive it again. Because his career has reached a fork in the road. Make no mistake about it. No matter what the circumstances are, if Daniel Jones wants to be the Giants starting quarterback in 2025, he has to play well. And thoughts about the offensive line, the receivers, the running backs, whatever it is, that's not going to be good enough. Okay? He has to play well in order to move forward here. Because economically, even though it's a big $22 million salary cap hit, the Giants could digest that, and they could get out of it. All right? They could get out of his deal, and they will take that hit if they have to. They don't want to. I personally think that Jones will meet the challenge. I do. So I think he's going to be fine. But he is in the reality phase right now of his career because he is at the fork in the road. He will either produce again like he did in 2022 and he's going to stay, or he's not going to for whatever the reason, and there's a real chance that he's out. So that's how we stand right now. All right. Appreciate it, though, A-Train, because you know what? There is one thing I will tell you. Fran Tarkenton got booed. Phil Simms got booed. Kerry Collins got booed. Eli Manning even had games where he got booed. Daniel Jones is feeling the heat of a lot of frustration of the last how many years from Giants fans. And he's also feeling the heat from the media. He's feeling the heat from social media. And it's just amplified. But, again, those other guys, they all did some pretty good things over the course of their Giants careers. I expect Daniel Jones to do just fine. All right, let's see. All right, see, again, Danny Pick 6 Duds is talking about a Sauce Gardner interview. Again, I'm sorry. I am sorry, Danny. I did not listen to Sauce Gardner after practice today. I was too busy listening to Neighbors and Jones and then doing a show. So I do apologize for that. That's the other thing about this program. And you guys, if you've watched me on BBKL, you know I'm straight with you. If I don't know something or I didn't see or hear something, I will tell you. I will not, under any circumstances, try to bluff my way through it, like so many other announcers will do, and writers love to bluff their way through things. I will not. I'm going to tell you flat out. I'm sorry. I don't know what this Sauce Gardner interview was about. I will attempt to check on that tomorrow or tonight before I go into practice tomorrow. But as it stands here, I am very transparent. If I don't know something, I will tell you. If I can't tell you, if I know something but can't tell you, I will also do the same. You deserve that respect as someone who has taken their time to check out my program. You deserve that. So I will let you know. All right. Danny also mentions about Aaron Donald. Well, again, you know, Aaron Donald's a today guy. Aaron Donald, not quite the fire hydrant. You know, Aaron Donald, not the same build as a Chapman or not the same build as a Mendenhall. But, yes, you're right. Aaron Donald is a smaller, athletic, finesse, technique type of defensive tackle who was the best of his era. No question about that. All right, let's see. Do we have anybody else here? Jordan says, I wish, live in Connecticut, but would love to go to practice someday. Hey, you know, Jordan, here, let me just say this. The Giants do their best to make as many practices available to the public as possible. And, yes, if you can come out, definitely come out next year. All right? Hey, quick, I just got to take another real quick second break because the people who run this whole thing tell me I got to do it. I'll be back in just a couple of seconds. See, you guys know me by now. When I tell you that, I'm telling you the truth. I do come back in a couple of seconds. All right. What else do we have here? We got some more stuff. Oh my goodness. Look at all of these comments. Hey, oh my goodness, look at this. Tudo Azurzur. I can't tell you. Look at this. You put us up with a star and a donation to the program. Hey, you know what? That is absolutely awesome. That is awfully kind of you. Appreciate it very, very much. Because, to be frank with you, it's a labor of love for me to talk Giants football. I would do it 25 hours a day if they would let me. I'm not allowed to do that, okay? Because there's no outlet that would allow me to do so. I don't need sleep. If you know me, you know I don't need sleep. It's just not necessary. Not during the season. You sleep after the season. But so it is really appreciated so much. That's awfully kind of you to give us a star and a donation. So thank you so much. Now let's see here. Let's see. Oh, greetings to our entire rugby club. And oh my goodness, you're across the pond in Italy? Holy smokes! I don't know that you are the first international person who has commented or been a part of our program. I know you're the first one from Italy. I've never seen anybody identify themselves from Italy before. So, wow. Hey, that's amore, my man. All right. Love it. Love it. Hey, tell your friends. They doesn't have to cost a cent. Just tell your friends. Let the more people we get from Italy to come and talk Giants football, the better. I mean, come on, right? Maybe next time I'll bring a little oregano to the table too. We'll see. Although people say I got oregano in my blood anyway. I always got oregano when I talk Giants football. All right, let's see. Hey, Brutus, what's going on, man? Well, let's see. We got Brutus. What's happening, Paul? Would like to hope to follow me back on Twitter. I appreciate you. Very cool. Let me see. I got to get back on later on. I might be so exhausted by the end of the night that I don't get on Twitter tonight, but we will see. Source interview. Oh, whoa, this is interesting. Ghost Dog Blue 76 says that source interview was blown way out of proportion. Oh, Ghost. Here's the problem. And this is why I don't deal in hearsay and I won't comment on said interview. Because it is too easy to take something out of context. God knows how writers love to take stuff out of context. A lot of writers, not every writer, but a lot of writers love to take stuff out of context. And Twitter is awesome at taking stuff out of context. So if I can get a hold of this thing, this source interview in full, either transcript or video or audio, I'll try to get a listen to the whole thing before tomorrow. I'm on BBK tomorrow with the Giants show tomorrow. I will effort to try to get the whole thing because it's not fair. I believe so much in being fair. I need context, and I want to hear it myself or read it myself before I say anything about it. I can only say this. He was yapping a lot during practice, and I suspect it was because he wanted to be challenged, and he was a bit frustrated that the Giants weren't throwing at him. That's my supposition from being on the sideline, 10 yards away from him? That's how I read the situation. Okay? All right. Let's see. What do we have here? Ghost again. Hope Shane can cook something up and make a play for cornerback 2 before the season starts. Ghost, we talked about that earlier in the program. Okay? I really hope that you get an opportunity. Okay? I hope you get an opportunity to maybe go back and listen to some of this or watch some of this earlier. We did talk about the CB2 situation with the Giants. And by the way, you know what? I gotta do this. Hold on a second. I gotta put Grazie Tuto. There we go. I just want to make sure I put that in there so it gets put in the comments somewhere. I want to make sure that in case people didn't see it or went past it, we want to make sure that Tuto gets a grazie for that. Again, man, thank you very much. Let's see here. What am I looking at? Oh, look at this, Tuto. You got a bunch of friends on the comment board tonight too. How cool is that? All right. Oh, Evan De La Cruz. Look at this. Do you think Theo Johnson could have a Larry Donnell type of impact? Why would you limit him to Larry Donnell? Oh, my goodness. That's a low ceiling for Theo Johnson. Now, I get it. Larry Donnell 1 year caught 60-something passes for the Giants and half a dozen touchdowns. I get it. These guys are not in the same class. Theo Johnson's ceiling is far beyond Larry Donnell. Trust me when I tell you that. Not to mention that Theo Johnson was a blocker at Penn State. Larry Donnell was not an accomplished blocker. How about I put it that way? It's fair. It's accurate. No need to be any more descriptive than that. All right, let's see. What do we have here? Oh, Brutus. Thanks, Paul, for clarifying Daniel Jones Day and the Giants' game plan. After all, it is practice, and practices are set up to work on different things. Hey, Brutus, again, I'm not grabbing Dable's play card. I'm simply telling you what I saw, and it would be foolish to think of anything else. The way they ran the ball and concentrated on the short pass today, any educated eye could see that. That had to be what the Giants' philosophy and mission was going into today. It had to be. And anybody who didn't see that wasn't watching carefully enough. All right. Jordan, thanks for a detailed answer. Hey, Jordan, that's what we're here for. See, that's why we do this program, to try to give you as many detailed answers as you can. This program is for the people who really want to see between the cracks and want to get full context and a full understanding of what's going on. Okay? These people who are here, you're not limited to 25 characters on Twitter or whatever it is. You're not limited to a headline. You're not limited to an 8-second soundbite or one sentence that was taken out of context. If you're here, you're going to get the full answer. Okay? Because I bring the full plate of pasta to the table. I'm not giving you one ravioli. I'm not giving you two raviolis. You're going to get the full ravioli. Okay? You're going to get the sauce. You're going to get the cheese. And I'm even going to bring you the side dish of the salad. All right? That's what we do. All right, my man. Let's see here. Oh, man, you guys are keeping me going now. Wow. I appreciate it very much. Hey, Paul, you're able to break down any details about what was going on with Bellinger? I had high expectations. All right. Ghost Dog Blue 76. Daniel Bellinger, remember when he got hurt, busted the eye socket, right? You remember that? Last year he came back. He wasn't the same player. I get along with Daniel very well. I talk to him all the time. His dad follows me on Twitter. Really good guy. Daniel Bellinger has the ability to be a quality all-around tight end in this league. Last year, he got flagged 6 times for penalties, some of which were at the most inopportune time. He also is asked to block a lot more because the offensive line did a horrific job blocking. And Daniel did not do a great job blocking himself. I thought he took a step back. I thought he was very inconsistent. And it was a tough sophomore year for him, based on what I saw. This is year 3. I expect Daniel Bellinger, with his football acumen, with his very good attitude, really good teammate, I expect him to have a bounce-back season and get back on track in year 3 and show us the player that we believed he could be when he was a rookie. And that's my answer to you about Daniel Bellinger. Matt Sullivan says, go Vols. Okay, that's fine. The better Jalen Hyatt does, the better the Giants do. As for the Vols, whatever. That's a Vol alum, though, that you want to do good for sure. Oh, what do we have here? Duncan McLean, Jets fan coming in peace. How will Daniel Jones be impacted by the loss of Saquon as a weapon? Well, Duncan, first of all, thank you so much for coming onto the program. My goodness, it's already almost 9:30. I'm going to go a little bit longer here because you people seem to want to have me a little bit longer, so I guess I'll do it. Here's what I will say. I will say this, Duncan. Daniel Jones, to me, is going to be impacted by Saquon's exodus to Philly because Saquon is a headache player. He is the only headache player that the Giants had last year. Their best offensive weapon. The guy who everybody on the other team's defense had to respect every time he was on the field. Until Malik Neighbors becomes that guy, and right now it's only the preseason, he could be that guy 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, 6 weeks in. Who knows how long it's going to take? But what you need to do, what the Giants need to do as an offense, and this is why it hurt to lose Barkley, you have to have at least one player on your offense who the entire defense is aware of and says, man, I don't want to be part of his next poster. I don't want him to run me over. I don't want him to run around me. I don't want him to run past me. I don't want him to make that great acrobatic catch and leave me in the dust. Every offense needs a player like that. The Jets have a couple. They got Garrett Wilson and they got Breece Hall. The Giants had Barkley, he's gone. They drafted Neighbors. The sooner that Neighbors becomes a headache player, which causes headaches and attention from the other team's defense, the better off that the Giants and Daniel Jones are going to be. Because you want the other team's defense to be pushing the brakes and have a mental roadblock because they're distracted by that one superstar player on offense who can burn them from anywhere on the field. So the quicker that Neighbors becomes that guy, the sooner Jones won't have to miss Barkley. But until that time, defenses don't have to respect anybody on the Giants offense as a headache player, a superstar, a game breaker. Neighbors has to earn that. We think he's got all the tools, but he's got to earn it during the regular season. So, Duncan, I appreciate the question. I thank you for asking. I thank you for coming on to the program. I hope if you were at practice today, you enjoyed it. Lord knows, my goodness, Aaron Rodgers and company, your offense really had it cooking today. So I'm sure you had a good time if you were out there. And by all means, come visit us again. All right, let's see here. Oh, look at this. Two Giants goofballs and New York Giants podcast says, what's up, everybody? Well, hi. Don't be afraid to come in and say hi with us. We'll say hi right back. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. Let's see if we got some more here. Oh, Evan De La Cruz. All right, says, how is Tyler Nubin's first-team reps gone? I loved him coming out of college and was excited when they drafted him. Tyler Nubin is a heck of a talent, has a terrific skill set, has a great attitude, team player, eager to learn, willing to learn, hits hard, and has terrific ball skills. He is going to be a terrific player for this team for quite a long time. There's no reason to believe otherwise. But right now, Dane Belton's holding him off. Dane Belton's not a bad player either. And Shane Bowen said last week, that's Dane Belton's job to lose. So, and he's not giving it up easy. The Giants, in my opinion, have 3 really solid safeties that they can put on the field at any time. All right, what do we have here? Timothy Fritz says, should the Giants sign Xavier Howard if they restructured Andrew Thomas's contract? Well, they did restructure Thomas's deal. The report saw somewhere between $3 and $4 million they freed up. So they have about, I think the report was $18 million on the cap right now. Xavier Howard has been up and down throughout his career. There have been moments where he's played very, very well. There have been other moments where you wondered, oh my goodness, what is this guy doing? He has been incredibly inconsistent. Would you want to kick the tires and bring him in and talk to him and see how he fits into the system and hope that you can get something done and then get him on the field? Maybe you would. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Again, up and down career, like a seesaw. And, he's not in high demand right now. I mean, that's pretty clear. You don't hear about a bunch of teams trying to battle for his services. There's got to be a reason for that, right? Buyer beware. Now, if he winds up landing here, then that means the Giants vetted him out. They came to good contract terms, and they're going to hope for the best. So if he lands here, that's exactly what I will say. See, I'm giving you a preview. If he lands here, that's exactly what I'm going to say. Because you got to give everybody a fair chance when they come in. But his history right now is very up and down. And I just don't know if that's in the cards. Okay, let's see here. We'll try to get to a couple of more people before we pack it in. My goodness. We have had such a good time tonight on this program. This has been the most fun program I think we've had so far since we started about a month ago. And if you guys really like the program, by the way, don't be afraid to let me know, and we'll try to do more. Now, during the regular season, the idea is going to be you'll get my game balls and gassers for each of the Giants units, offense, defense, and special teams, the day after every game. That's the idea right now. And then on the Friday before every game, you'll get a preview with 3 key matchups to watch, a kind of a review of what happened during the week, and a little thumbnail about the opponent. And then on Wednesdays in the middle of the week, I plan to do a live show every single Wednesday night. That's what's in the cards right now. Hopefully, you guys really like it. You want to do some more. Maybe we will do some more. I'm toying with the idea of expanding on that plan. But again, that's the plan for the regular season. This is still training camp. All right, let's see. Here, look at this. Jay Feld says, Jay Fed, pass on Xavier and off the field issues. If true, don't want him in the locker room. I don't know enough about I don't have firsthand information about his off the field issues. I know what's been reported. I don't want to go there because I don't think it's fair of me to do so. I simply said to you before, inconsistent, a lot of ups and downs in his career. I'm willing to leave it at that for now, but there's Jay Fed, who if he was general manager, would not be making that phone call. And I understand that because as it stands now, I don't hear of anybody making that phone call. So that is a very fair assessment, Jay Fed. I understand where you're coming from. All right, let's see. Greg Brisk says, hi, Paul. Thoughts on Brian Burns so far in the preseason? Man, is he a pleasure to watch. He is incredibly athletic, bendable like Gumby, comes shot out of a cannon off the line of scrimmage, has length that gives offensive tackles a tremendous amount of trouble because he keeps their body off of him, and that allows him then to make his athletic moves. See, what your tackle wants to be able to do is to lock up or to get his body and his leverage on you so that his 330 pounds can be used as a force to prevent you from getting through. Brian Burns has such length and such quickness, and he keeps the offensive linemen at a distance. He doesn't let them get into his body with their body. That's what makes him so dangerous, because he creates the space that allows him to make all of the athletic moves that he wants to make. He's got a spin, he's got a rip, he's got a dip, he's got everything. Very impressed with him. And to watch him on a day in and day out basis is a pleasure. He is a real dynamic pass rusher. And I think that on this line, with Dexter Lawrence in the middle and Thibodeau on the other side, he's only going to get better. And this is why the Giants made the trade for him, then signed him to the rich extension, because they believe the sky is the limit for him. They believe that he has only touched the surface of how good he can be. And that's very, very exciting. Very exciting. All right, let's see. Okay, Jazzy Jet. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to read it. He's talking about Sauce's comments. I'm going to get to Sauce's comments and maybe comment tomorrow on BBKL. I'm not doing it now. I'm not going over second-hand hearsay. I'm not doing it. Okay, Brutus, Gorham. Paul, I think DJ has to have a great year to remain here as the Giants quarterback. I don't think he's got to be great. I think he's got to be really good. Okay? He was really good in 2022. Really good. Protected the ball. Read defense as well. Made some key throws. Made a bunch of key runs. 5 come from behind victories in the fourth quarter in the regular season. Then had another come from behind victory as they beat the Vikings in the playoffs on the road. Okay? Yeah, I know the Vikings defense wasn't very good. I know their secondary was shredded. I get all of that, but he still did it. I was in Minnesota. For every person who wants to throw away the Giants' playoff victory in 2022 against the Minnesota Vikings, I was there. I don't think you were. And why do I say that? Because I was in that building. It was an incredible atmosphere. The Vikings, the number 2 seed in the conference, okay? They won a ton of games. They had already beaten the Giants during the regular season. They had their horn going. Skol, skol, and all the stuff that they do. The place was absolutely electric. It was like an earthquake, okay? Hostile and raucous as could be. And Daniel Jones was as cool as an ice cube. And he did what he had to do and came from behind and beat the Minnesota Vikings. Okay? If you were there in Minnesota, you can comment to me about what you thought about that playoff victory. But if you weren't there in Minnesota, I was on the sideline. I was on the field. I know how difficult it was to hear. I know how difficult it was to maintain your composure when the Vikings took the lead. And how hard it was for the Giants to overcome. I know what Daniel Jones did that day. It was sensational. So all you people who keep like, oh, Minnesota had no secondary. They stunk. We knew they were going to win anyway. Oh, really? Really? You should have been on the field that day before the kickoff. And I would have, and you would know how hard it was for the Giants to do what they did. That was a very, very impressive victory. Enough said. All right, you know what? Guys, you have been really great. I'm really, really tired. Let me see what I could do here. Evan De La Cruz is back. I want to build a career in sports media with the goal of working for the Giants one day. Do you have any advice you could give me? Just be you. Just be you, Elvin. I don't have a facade. I bring it to you. You know, Howard Cosell used to say all the time, I tell it like it is. It's not my job for you to like me. It's not my job for you to like what I say. It's my job to present to you the facts, the knowledge, and reasonable analysis based on the experience that I have and what I've learned and what I've seen and what I know about the National Football League and this franchise. I make no apologies for that. There are people who will like what I say, people who won't like what I say. That's not my goal. My goal is to share information with you. My goal is to hopefully supplement your enjoyment of the game because maybe you have a better understanding about what's going on. That's my goal. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay too, because chances are there's somebody else who wants that information and who is enjoying what they're hearing or seeing and can digest what's going on with their favorite franchise. So Elvin, what I say is this: study the game, learn as much about the game, the pure game, as you can. Okay? Try to do that first. And once you do that, now you've got a foundation that you can draw upon. Learn as much about the game as you can so that you can converse with players and coaches on a football level. Okay? A much higher level than a lot of other people can. Try to do that. And once you do that, you'll start to gain respect from them. And if you gain respect from coaches and players, the rest of this job just kind of flows into place. But do yourself a favor. Be true to yourself. You know, if you don't know something, say you don't know it. If you're not sure, say you're not sure. And if you can't say, then say I can't say. Just be honest. If you're going to do this job, be honest. Don't have an agenda that you're out to get a coach or you're out to get a player. Don't go with the wind because the wind is saying that such and such a player needs to get bashed. So I just want to be popular with the fans and I'm going to bash this player because most people are bashing him and I want to get on that. I want to get on that wagon. That's to me, that's not the right way to do the job. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people who do the job that way today. It's very, very unfortunate. But I believe in the integrity of the job. And I hope you do too. All right, let's see here. McFurley says, oh, well, this is interesting. Trade for Patrick Surtain Jr. McFurley was at McFurley 180. Yeah. Whew. That's an interesting thought. You know, again, I'll check into it. I don't know that I've heard any rumblings about that, but and what exactly do you want to give up for him? All right. Oh, look at this. G Nation Inside Sports. Hello, Mr. P. Dot. Oh, first time I've ever been called Mr. P. Dot. As you guys know, on WFAN for many, many, many years, the 13 years that I was on the air with that station, and I still am on the air on game days as part of the Giants crew. But, you know, Joe and Evan always used to call me P. Dot, but never Mr. P. Dot. So that's pretty cool. I think I like that. I think I like that, G Nation Inside Sports. Awesome content, he says. My brother is Big Lou. Well, there you go. All right. Hey, Jordan. Jordan says he saw the shout out from Patricia Trainer. So thanks to her for bringing it to our attention. Excellent. Let's see. Oh, Brutus. Brutus, there's a lot of people not going to like this post. Says, what about reuniting with former Giants first-round cornerback who's been decent since leaving, Eli Apple? Woo! Wow. Think been there, done that. Don't think this is the right environment for him. I thought he had a lot of talent. He was on my radar as a Giants first-round pick the year they took him. I even said it on BBKL. I think I was the only media guy that year who actually mentioned Eli Apple as a potential first-rounder for the Giants. So I've been following this guy a long time. I don't think this environment's a good mix for him. Oh, my goodness. Watson Graves. Oh, whoa, look at this. Thank you so much. Little something to show thanks. That's a big something to show thanks, Watson. Thank you so much. Look, I do this for the love of what I do, but I can't tell you that that's not very much appreciated because, in this business, you get a lot of criticism. You get a lot of people throwing stones at you all the time. They don't like what you say because that's the nature of the beast, right? You got to have a tough skin because a lot of people don't like what you say. And for me, I just appreciate that people will take time out of their day, to converse with me, to listen, to try to have a really cool exchange. But then you get somebody like this coming in, and Watson Graves comes in and throws a 10 spot down, which, wow, that's like ultra appreciated. So very, very, very cool. I hope someday you get to stop by the stadium, and either at a practice during the summer camp or by the stadium during a game, before the game or after the game, and please by all means say hi. So thank you so much. In fact, let me see here. I gotta give Watson a let me put this down here in the comments thing. Make sure that's there we go. Grazie, Watson. I want to make sure that's on the chain of comments here too. Folks, you probably realize, right? I joke all the time about being Fred Flintstone, yabba dabba doo. I'm not really up on a lot of the latest technologies and so forth. So like doing this live program for me is a big challenge. Technically, this is a very big challenge for me. So, I'm trying to bring to you guys as genuine a football conversation as I can. And at the same time, I got to run all these electronic stuff. And it's a little bit of a challenge. I don't mind telling you. All right, let's see. Oh, hey, Greg Brisk. Thanks, Paul, for hosting an entertaining podcast. Thank you so much. Again, you guys, I got a bunch of people here saying thank you. Hey, thank you, okay? Because you know what? I couldn't sit here and talk Giants football for 2 hours like I'm doing if you guys didn't have comments for me. Well, actually, there are some people who think I could just talk Giants football for 25 straight hours and not have any interaction with anybody. That might be true. Little secret between us. That might be true. But it's a lot easier when I can talk off of your comments. Okay? Bunch more here. No Apple. Says G Nation Inside Sports. Brutus Gorham says third round pick for Sertain Jr. Oh my goodness. Look at this. So many comments. A whole bunch of folks coming back here with comment after comment after comment, still being with us. Woo! Man, oh man, oh man. Guys, I got to be honest. It has been a long, long day. I think I'm running out of voice. I got to go to practice tomorrow. I got Big Blue kickoff tomorrow with the Giants. I got a show to do tomorrow. And I think it's probably best that we call it a night. I do apologize because it looks like you guys want me to keep going. And I really do appreciate that. The response tonight has been really, really terrific. But I think we will call it a night. I would appreciate if after the game on Saturday, they're playing the Giants. Giants are playing the Jets, as you know, the preseason finale. What I think I would appreciate is maybe if you give a look at the Big Blue Breakdown coming up on Sunday. We'll try to get it up for you that night. Depends on when the game ends, how late it is. It'll be up then on Sunday. You get your game balls, your gassers for offense, for defense, for special teams. Let me know what you think. You don't always have to agree with me. I just tell people it's okay to agree to disagree. Just have some foundation behind what it is that you're going to say. So that'll be up on Sunday. And then the goal will be to come back here again next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, for another Big Blue Breakdown live. And remember, it's all part of the New York Giants on SI Media Network. I'm Paul Dottino. Again, I thank everybody for participating. This has been the most active, most fun show that we've had so far. And amazing. I mean, I didn't even get a chance to really promote this program tonight until after I got back following the Jets-Giants practice late this afternoon. Usually I try to promote it a day or two ahead of time, and then throughout the morning. This one hardly got any promotion, and you guys busted my doors down for almost 2 hours. So, again, I hope it was worth your time, and we'll see you again next time here on Big Blue Breakdown Live. Good night, everybody.